Ottawa, so we don't have anything in place quite yet. The board's been in existence for about 2 years, well, 3 years, and incorporated 2 years ago. So very interested to learn from you all. Thank you.
And Cheryl?
Hi, I'm from Armstrong, BC, Armstrong House. So my second meeting here, so learning more every time.
And Ruth?
Hi, I'm Ruth Allen and I'm from St. Andrews, Abbeyfield, Sydney.
Hi. Just for those of you who are new to our group here, Ruth is with St. Andrews, and that is the first house in Canada. So they've got 37 years of operation there, I believe.
38 now.
38. Time flies.
We're into 38.
Ron, hi.
Hello there. Yeah, it says I'm from Port Alberni, Abbeyfield. I'm on the board, been there for about a year and a half or something now. And I think you all know Robert Gunn. He's joined us again. So we're up to 5 people on the board now, which is nice. And we have a good group there. I'm happy to be serving. And I was just curious to know what the rest of Canada does with Abbeyfield.
Great. Larry?
Hi, folks. I'm from Vancouver. I have a double house there. We have 18 residents, and I really enjoy these sessions. It's a wonderful opportunity to learn and share. I mean, if you look at all of us, we have to share our successes and even our failures, so our brothers and sisters here can avoid them. I think this is a great meet, and I'm looking forward to it. Good evening, everyone.
Thanks. Bill?
Okay, I'm in Toronto, and I'm treasurer of Abbeyfield, Toronto, and I've been doing that for about 20 years, and I'm also treasurer of Abbeyfield, Canada. I've been doing that for about over 3 decades.
Wow.
Karen Fuller?
There.
You're muted,
Okay.
Karen. There you
All
go.
right. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Hi. Sorry. I'm Karen.
Wrong Karen. Wrong
Oh,
Karen.
you're
Okay.
right, Karen.
Oh, we
Karen
got 2
Fuller?
Karens.
Oh, sorry.
Two
Karen
Karens.
Fuller,
I
I'm
didn't see
talking
the
to.
other
Sorry.
Hi, Karen.
Okay. Just as Rhonda was saying, we're very new. We are just about to embark on our provisional membership in Abbeyfield, Canada. So our next step is to get a board together. So we've got a steering committee that's been going for a year, but we have to develop a board. And so this is one of the reasons I was really excited about coming tonight to meet everybody and get some ideas. So thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Karen. Rita? Oh, you're muted, Rita.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm from Fort St. John, Abbeyfield House, Fort St. John, 2006, I believe we're called officially. I'm on the board there, and I do some volunteering inside the home. We have a 5-member board at the moment. We had 6. One lady just had to resign because of work. Yeah, I'm excited to be here and see what we can do as far as expanding our board members.
Melinda?
Hi, everybody. Melinda from Duncan House. Nice to see all you beautiful faces again. Yeah, I've been with Abbeyfield for about 16 years, but I'm always ready and willing to learn something new and hopefully share some things that I've learned as well.
Thanks. Tim?
Yeah, thanks, Rhonda. Yeah, I'm Tim Sherman. I'm with Abbeyfield, Canada. I've been on the board for a number of years. Looking at my friend Jim Galloway, we've been around for a long time. I work. My day job is with the Canadian Automobile Association, and I'm really enjoyed my time with Abbeyfield. I think it's a great place for people to come together and for our more what do you call it? Our leaders, our community leaders, to come together and contribute back to the community.
Thanks, Tim. Marie.
Hi, everybody. My name is Marie Asselin. I'm with Janet with Abbeyfield Riverside. I'm brand new to the board. I just joined in November. Happy to be here.
Jim Galway.
I'm Jim Galloway. I've been around Abbeyfield for about 20 years in different positions, and I'm currently I'm interim president at Abbeyfield, Ottawa, while we're looking for another president.
Jim does a lot of development work with new groups coming on as well. He has a history of being on our board at the national level. Angela. You're muted though, Angela. I just want you to introduce yourself. Can you unmute yourself? I'm going to come back to you.
Yes, I
There you are.
can.
Good.
All right. Can you see me or?
Yes, I can. We can see you.
Oh, okay.
We can.
I'm probably looking pretty disabled. Sorry. Hi, I'm Angela and I'm from Fort St. John. So I volunteer with Rita Schoenwell and I'm one of those board members that's still there. Just been there a couple of years. So I'm very interested in seeing people and learning how we can recruit more people for board members would be terrific.
Thanks, Angela. Karen Smedley.
Am I muted? No, okay.
No,
Hi,
you're good.
I'm Karen Smedley. I'm president of Golden Abbeyfield House and also just assumed the chair for the BC chapter of Abbeyfield Houses and also a new director on Abbeyfield Canada. So definitely in learning mode.
Super.
All right, my computer's doing stuff. Sylvia.
Hi, I'm from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, and we have 13 wonderful members on our board. And this year is the 30th anniversary of when we first incorporated, and we opened in 2001. And it's really nice to see some familiar faces and some new faces, and a fantastic turnout.
Judy Curran.
Hi, I'm Judy Curran from Victoria, Abbeyfield St. Peter's, and I've been on the board about 5 years. We have 7 members, and it's a challenge getting new members on our board. So I needed to tune in for help. Thank you.
I'm just going to look through my screen and make sure I haven't missed anyone. Joanna.
Oh,
From
hi.
Duncan.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm Joanna Sofield. I'm the treasurer at the Duncan House. I've been on the board and treasurer for about just over 3 years. And yeah, this is my first clubhouse meeting. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it all goes. Thank you.
Right. I'm just, before I go to Joe, I'm just going to double check. Did I miss anyone else?
Yourself. Not everybody knows you.
Uh-huh. So Joe, if you want to
Go ahead. Thank
say
you.
hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone. I'm Joe McReynolds. I've been involved with Abbeyfield for a while. I'm currently offering my services as the president of Abbeyfield Canada. I also sit on the Abbeyfield Caledon board of our house here in Caledon East, Ontario. So welcome, everybody. I see some faces that I've met before, and I'm glad to see some new faces at the table, and I hope sometime soon to meet you all. So let's go on with the day in the evening.
Okay.
I
I
will
just,
probably have to move out and in because I'm trying to manage another meeting on the side here. So
oh,
thank you.
sneaky. Okay. Robert Gunn, just I saw you just come on. Just say hi.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Pleased to be here.
Great. So I'm going to hand this over to Tim through this meeting. As I said, I have the meeting is recording, and hopefully we'll have a summary as well. And we will send this off to anyone who couldn't come because their weather went out. But I'm just going to leave this to Tim right now.
Super.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Tim, just Elizabeth
Yeah.
Prowse. I didn't see, she just came back. Elizabeth, can you come on and just say hi? It's a good turnout tonight. I'm very pleased. Okay. Elizabeth, we'll get to you in a bit. I want Tim to be able to get going here.
Sure.
Are you there, Elizabeth? Okay, carry on, Tim.
Yeah, no, it's great to see so many people here. You know, relatively new people, new to Abbeyfield, and then a lot of veterans that have been around for even decades. So we should have a good discussion tonight. Obviously very informal. We want to share best practices, tricks that you've learned to get good contributing board members to your houses. I think we'd like to hear from all the different perspectives. Again, the people that have been around for a long time, and then the new folks. So there's no formal agenda, but we just want to start with some ideas about how I guess what's been successful. And one thing that struck me, we have two people from Riverside. I'm in Ottawa myself. It'd be interesting to see how you first got together to create your board, before the house is officially in operations. That might be good to learn how you got together. So maybe Janet or
because I predate Marie by a year, I guess I'll start.
Yeah.
I responded to an article in our community newspaper that introduced the concept of Abbeyfield, and it was a subcommittee of a group in a neighboring community association in central Ottawa that were the originating group. It was like a seniors subcommittee of the Old Ottawa South Community Association. And then they wanted to do something in the area of seniors housing. So they investigated the Abbeyfield model. Then I responded to an article in my community paper. The other folks that were already on the board had emerged from the community association in that neighborhood and had a particular interest in housing and seniors, et cetera. And I know they had Jim Galloway would have already mentored them to a certain point by then, probably. So now we've had 2 annual meetings, and so this year we had several vacancies, and Marie was recruited, and she can say how she was recruited because I don't actually know, and she's now the secretary of the board. But we I think through word of mouth and individual connections is how we got our next round. We didn't advertise in the same way. We have used our local volunteer center, Volunteer Ottawa, for recruiting committee positions, and some of those people have then moved onto the board after having been on a committee. So that's sort of how we started. And as I said, we're really in year 3 of existence, and second year since incorporation. So still pretty nascent and still developing as a board, although I think we have 8 or so members on our board with an executive. And but we know that we need to make connections in the community that will support the identification of property or a home, et cetera. So we don't have those kinds of people on our board right now. That's why I think we came to the meeting. But how do you find those philanthropists, the people that have reach in the community that can help get us the resources that we need to be able to advance the project.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Janet. Marie, do you have anything to add from Riverside?
Just to say that I was recruited through the website Charity Village. I was just simply looking to join a board, and the ad, spoke to me, and I think that was the only site that I knew of that I could go and seek for this type of volunteering opportunity that I wanted to find. So I think it worked for me. I don't know if everybody here is familiar with that. So they probably are, but it worked for me.
Interesting from the first two comments, and I think we probably all have the same experience, that the people that tend to volunteer for these not-for-profit community organizations are the same people that volunteer at other places, right? So when you look at the population of possible directors, it kind of narrows down fairly quickly to those people that are community minded and tend to. These are just my observations, but it's interesting that both of you were kind of looking for things to how to help your community, and you found a really good opportunity with Abbeyfield. Yeah, Larry.
Tim, you said something very, very important. I'm going to jump in here. The first time you spoke, you mentioned leaders, and the people you are describing now are also leaders. I believe very strongly, and I'll give you a short history. I was brought into of a short history of Abbeyfield, Vancouver. I was brought in 5 years ago by our local MLA, who I was pretty close with, and he said they need a little help on the board. Do me a favor. And as the MLA, we had a very good relationship. If I asked him for a favor, it was done, and vice versa, without too many questions. So I discovered immediately that they didn't particularly need help on the board. They didn't have a board. The only two people were there was Patricia Pat Fernelli, and Linda Dryden, who was living in Victoria and helping out. And I saw immediately an opportunity to build the board from scratch. And if you've been on boards, you know it's not an easy task, but a wonderful opportunity. And like you said, where do you go? You pick the leaders. You go where you have some proven track record. So I just culled whatever I could by rating and cherry picking from other organizations that I'm familiar with and were involved with, and build it from there. And I think that we should always be mindful and conscious of that, and not wait till you need another director. But when you see somebody, pounce on it and invite them to your house. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, Tim. We have something special, and it's very difficult to and unique in so many ways. So people can't really relate to it. Bring them into the house by hook or by crook, and it's amazing how they just embrace us. But bring in, like you say, people who are leaders, and leaders will naturally look to. I mean, I look every day to replace myself. I mean, I just stepped down as president, but maintained a chairman position, and we're doing wonderfully well. And I want to hear other ideas, and as I hear things, I will jump in whenever I think I can offer something. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Larry.
Oh, by the way, the size is not really that important. I hear some big numbers. As long as you have some expertise in certain areas, this is what's important. And even if somebody doesn't have an expertise in a particular field, let them. They're obviously coming in for something. They have their own feeling on what they'd like to do. There's so many social aspects and so many things that are not in the functions of secretary and treasurer and the grudge work. There are a lot of other things people can go, and new ideas that are brought in to add to the Abbeyfield model. And this is what we try to do all the time, improve that model. Thanks, Ken. I'll give you the floor back.
Great, thanks. Just thanks, Larry. And I know from the few times that we've met in this format, I can tell you must be a real go-getter in your community. So that's great.
Excuse me, just before, you have somebody who's should be on the lower section of the screen now. His name is Hunter Wilson.
Okay.
He's from Vancouver. He just waved, and that's the steering wheel in front of him. He just joined us. He's a new recruit, and when we get to him, I want him to tell you the story. He's been in since our last AGM, as treasurer and a new position of vice president. He just advised me yesterday he brought somebody else in with fantastic qualifications, and he's a prime example of what I'm talking about keeping being mindful and keeping your ears open. And you'll see how easy it was for him. And it's a very high quality person. And I say that just based on what they have to offer. Let's all say hello to Hunter Wilson.
Yeah. Hi, Hunter.
Our only driving member today.
And we see you're on the road. Do you think you'll be at your destination in the next little while? Maybe you could introduce yourself when you feel comfortable. Oh, you're muted too.
Stay safe, drive safe.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm thinking.
Hunter, please get off mute and assure
There we go.
You're a very safe driver.
Okay, no, my hands are free. I'm good.
Okay.
But thank you. Yeah, I will be at my destination in approximately 15 minutes, although I'm not wholly free altogether for this meeting. I wanted to pop in and say hello and get to introduce myself at least. I do have a few minutes while I'm driving and I can speak. So
okay.
Whatever you'd like me to offer, I would be happy to do so.
Great. Super. Thanks, Hunter. Just a couple notes in the comments. Yeah, so thanks, Ken, for the note about Angela. We did speak with Angela earlier. She introduced herself, so thanks for the heads up. Robert has some note about how connecting, strong houses, strong leadership attracts strong board members, and I think those are great words and very relevant. Those are the other ones for now, but keep the comments coming in. That's important. We can't all talk at the same time, so if you have something, you can write it, and then we can get back to it.
Well, if I may, I don't have a hand to raise. That's just because my time is limited, and I wanted to. I do know the premise of the meeting, and I chimed in or tuned in while Larry was speaking about just that topic, and so to that end, we believe we are in a transition period of going from something that's worked in an organic way very well, based on the goodness of the people that are there. Oops, you might not be able to see me, but maybe you can hear me. And there is a very much an enthusiasm around what's possible with the model for the House, specifically in BC, because every province is different. The management of tests found itself to be quite antiquated, and with the population growth of that demographic, as well as the whole of it, expenses, everything that you can compound into it not working as well as it did 30, 40 years ago. It's really it sets the stage for some significant consideration, especially with that which is just on a monetary level, but also in a practical level, from how the province deals with stuff. So that's kind of the impetus behind the leadership roles that we're trying to bring into the board. Consolidated a lot of administrative, financial issues, governments, so not issues in a bad way, but just things that need to be really more robust and transparent so that we can confidently speak to, this. So that's just where we're at there. And I'm greatly appreciative of being given the opportunity to do this. And just the last thing I'll say is that Larry was mentioning that my friend who offered Holy to come and join the board, and he represents a real change in and also in the level of expertise involved. He's a counsel for WorkSafe BC, and he's a lawyer and did work for the city as well. So there's a lot of different angles there, but a really good piece for the puzzle, and we're keeping our eye out and certainly talking about Abbeyfield in order to attract these types of candidates. So thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you. Thanks, Hunter. Janet and Marie were talking about community newsletters sort of attracting, they're actually, maybe actively looking to help. And then Larry talked about MLAs and maybe local politicians or provincial. Does anybody have any other sources that you found have been really helpful, like where to go to look for board members?
I think that's why we're all here. We want to know how we can find some more.
Yeah, so
Larry,
you can share some of those ideas. It'd be great.
Tim?
Okay, Tim.
Tim, can I?
If they're looking for, if you want to concentrate this conversation on sources, I should have just gave one more sentence of where I started picking out my members. Our secretary is probably one of the best I could get. He's the secretary of my Masonic Lodge and also Grand Lodge. So he has years and years of experience. I have a doctor on board that helps with the intake. And when we look at the medical reports, where did I get him? He called me actually. Someone that I'm in a specific, very special position. We have a heritage house that was built in 1912. I have somebody on the board with some serious construction experience and his own company, rather than having to call specialists all the time. So, you look for the things that you need. Don't be shy. I invite everyone for lunch or supper, and by hook or by crook, we're 22 of us here. We have contacts. We know people, and don't be afraid to approach them.
Great. Yep. Thanks. Joe. Joe and Bill. I'll go Joe first and then Bill.
Okay.
Oh, Joe, you're muted.
No, I think I'm okay.
Oh, no, Joe.
Joe's muted. Well, and his hand is up.
Okay, you know what? How about you go, Bill?
Right. Okay. Just some past experience at the Toronto House. But I got involved there about 20 years ago. There was a good board at that time, and some really strong people and functioned really well. We had a great secretary, and ultimately president needed replacing, and I took that job. But there was lots of support around there, and gradually they whittled away for various reasons. And I think the biggest success that I personally had is through personal and work relationships. And I'm just looking here at our current board, and right now, 3 of them that are on the board were recruited by me personally, and one He was our secretary. He was involved in a corporate position with companies, and he really liked taking notes. He takes great pride in doing good, excellent notes. And another one was a lawyer who knew, and these people were all just recently retired.
Yeah.
Which is really the best people to get on a board is recent retirees that are in their, could be late 50s, 60s, even early 70s. And so he was excellent, had to resign recently because of health, unfortunately. And then another person whom I've known for about 50 years. She knew my involvement in Abbeyfield, and she's a very personable person, and she liked relating to the seniors and was excellent to have on board for relationships with the residents. Two more work people from where I worked at. One came on to be treasurer for a while, and actually so did the other one, became treasurer for a while. I've since reassumed that position, but they were treasurers. And I found that when I got one friend on, and I worked on another one for a couple of years. Now you got to be really careful. You don't want to badger your friends, and you don't want to alienate your friends by talking too much about Abbeyfield. It's really a delicate line, but eventually he came on, and I think he was happy for the experience. That's the lawyer guy. And so I would say that is the best success that I've had in recruiting is friends and work colleagues directly. And recently, a person in Toronto, I'm really, it's called the Scarborough Bluffs House that Rhonda put up there properly for me, which is part of Toronto. And he came on and he met a person in the neighborhood dog walking, and she's proved to be an excellent recruit. And she brought in two more people who are proving also to be excellent. And so that one contact really led to two more people. And so they can come to 10 a bit in bunches. And because when the new people come on, they often have got a network, and you can tap into that too. And of the people that came on, you want to make sure they're the right people that understand, attending a board and being respectful, not taking over, yet assuming a place that suits them. And so you often find that a lot of your friends and work people, there's something in Abbeyfield that would suit them, whether it's financial, whether it's maintenance, whether it's legal, whether it's just tending to the residents, dealing with home care and all the medical people, dealing with the families. So there's likely a spot for anyone that they could contribute to your house. And so that's been my experience. Oh, one other thing, we did have another board member, and actually she's still on the board, but she's a working person, excellent, devoted a lot of time. And she recruited a lot of people through her work, but they were all younger people. They were in their 20s and 30s, and they were enthusiastic to come on the board. But they missed a lot of meetings, and they almost needed too much direction, and yet they weren't available to direct because they were still working. I think they were kind of more interested in just getting their name on as being a director of an organization. Anyway, some of them worked a little bit and they did some things, but honestly, I would say overall, it just did not work. I think the people need to be, unless it's an unusual person, and we went through quite a few of them, and we seemed to be putting them on the board and taking them off, and somebody new would come, and it kind of was a bit of a waste of time. So those are some of my experiences.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. So Karen and Joe have both had their hands up.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I'll go, Joe. I just, this is all interesting, but I just want you to know there's another way to recruit some expertise onto the board. What we did in Golden is we developed an associate director position, which is a body. They're all people who have expertise in some area that we might need. We've got a lawyer, we've got a tech guy, we've got somebody that worked in the insurance field, in HR. We approached all of these people and they weren't interested in coming on the board because they didn't want to have to sit in on meetings and do all of that. So we created them as associate directors who we can call on whenever we have a problem in their area of expertise to help us out. And that's proven, I think, very successful for us.
How did you identify them, Karen? Like, you know,
we're a small community, Tim, so we kind of knew most of them, and we just reached out. And, you know, like I said, first we tried to bring them on as directors and they weren't interested. So then I thought, okay, well, can we do something like an associate director? And apparently we can do that under the Societies Act. So they don't get a vote, but they're identified as an associate director in the paperwork we send in. And yeah, you know, we just know they're there if we need them, right, for backup, which is important.
Great, thanks. Joe?
Yeah, on now. I've got lots of thoughts, but I want to just share one with you, and that is, you know, communities often have information fairs or events where, you know, they invite public in to learn about services, etc. And in fact, we're going to host one tomorrow as the Abbeyfield here in Caledon with the senior center, and there'll probably be about 30 organizations represented, and we will be there. And it, you know, and it's an opportunity not only to broadcast ourselves about residence vacancies, but also to look for members on the board. And I just reflect on one that we did about 18 months ago, where we were approached by a geriatric nurse from the local hospital, and she's young. She, like Bill, unfortunately, Bill, she's only 30, but she's joined our board, and she is a terrific board member because she's now helping us with the assessments of residents and monitoring their health and advising them and doing information sessions with them, etc. But again, it was just being out there in the public and, you know, talking to people, and suddenly somebody says, I'm interested in that. Is there any, can I get involved? And that was it. So just share that as another opportunity.
Yeah, great point. I think some of these ideas, you know, whether it be the associate directors or, you know, engaging with just general people in the community, I think, you know, some houses probably have people start on committees before they become board members, similar to the associate director idea, where you bring them on as a member of the audit or finance committee or whatever, and then kind of, without them knowing, kind of secretly convince them to join the board over time. Now, Robert also made a point about younger people, you know, similar to what Joe mentioned with the person that they brought on the board. You know, and you know, Bill's had some different experiences, but you know, I think there probably still is an opportunity there with, if you get the right people.
To be fair, it may apply more to smaller communities than larger ones. I mean, I'm pretty aware that Ottawa, for example, has had significant turnover with younger people who seem enthusiastic, but then jobs and so on. But in a smaller community, you might get people just simply because of the sheer volume, well, not the volume, the sheer complexity of running our small businesses 24/7, everything from staff through to budgets and financial planning and so on and so forth. So there's some real good, for a younger person trying to get some experience, it does, on the face of it, offer some real good opportunities.
Yeah.
But I defer to Bill's experience in larger communities.
I see, Larry, your hand's up.
Yeah, I'll try and keep it short. I want to address all the baby boomers here, of which I'm on the leading edge, having been born in 1946. Do you remember in the 60s when we said we didn't trust anybody over 40? Well, I don't trust anybody under 40, except I have approached, again, I'm from a city with several universities. I work with somebody in the Langara College, a doctor, and I get practicum students, and they come with a program, and they're extremely helpful, I must say. And again, all you have to do is ask most of the time, and often you'll get yes, maybe not as often as no's, but the yeses are out there.
Great. Thanks, Larry.
You're welcome.
So we've got so far a pretty wide range, from friends and colleagues to government representatives, community associations. I'm sure there's more. So one question to go along with this is, do you at your houses have formal written strategies or procedures for attracting new people? Like, do you have a committee that's in charge, or a person that's in charge of finding new recruits? It'd be interesting to hear some thoughts around that.
Yeah, Tim?
Yeah, hi, Jim.
Yeah, specifically around that. First, just a general point. I have seen a number of houses just in frustration put an ad in the paper or an ad somewhere saying they're looking for directors. And personally, I've never seen that work. I think you have to decide the skills you need on the board, and you go specifically after those. And when you start thinking, where will I find those skills, then that's when the opportunities occur. I think the MLA is an excellent suggestion. All these people that have run for political offices, they are political positions. They've had an organisation around them. They've had to get volunteers. They've had to raise money. So if you can actually make a connection with some of them and just sell the concept, get them interested in the concept, then you may well get some recommendations from them.
Oh yeah.
One of the things that we have that's worked very well for us is we've had for a number of years now a volunteer director who is the volunteer recruiter. For the last, I guess, over about 5 years now, for 3 years we had a young woman who was an immigrant who was studying at the university and to be a doctor. And she was fabulous recruiting for us. And currently we have somebody who came from Morocco. In her first week in the country, she saw our ad and applied. And she's actually doing a good job finding recruits for us. She's doing the initial interviews and getting the ads out. So that's a great position for somebody, a younger person that has got the skills, the computer skills that they can interview online and what have you. And I thought Karen's idea of the associate director is probably the best idea of it in a long while.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Yeah, I agree. It's a great idea, and I think people are making note of that in the comments as well. So, Joanna, I see you sort of made a similar comment to what I had just talked about. Have you made any headway or do you have a terms of reference for board members?
I don't think so. That's why I asked. Or if we do, I haven't seen it being used. I think we've been more. I still think we're in the more of the at the organic end of the spectrum for board recruitment. I mean, I came in because there was an advert in the Volunteer Cowichan website, and one of our other board members of the same vintage as me also was attracted from that. But I kind of feel that that was just good fortune as opposed to something that was, strategically planned out. And I think we've been trying to continue to attract board members using that method, and it hasn't really been successful. It's been more about our own contacts, like the existing board members' contacts with connections that we have, and seeing if they would be interested. But I do believe actually having something that is a good reference to say, here's the expectations, here's the types of expertise that we need, and maybe here's the gaps we currently have too, as part of that conversation that a board could have, as opposed to, oh my goodness, here's another warm body, maybe they'll fit in, and maybe the warm body will fit in, but I think it could be a little bit more strategic. That's my comments.
Yeah, no, great comments. That's great. Thank you. Sylvia.
Yes, I can say without exception that our board members have come through other board members, one-on-one contact, and also we have had board members, some of our best board members, come as relatives of residents and then stay on after the residents have left. And right now we have gotten board members from the Cosmopolitan Club, the service club, and that has been extremely useful. But we have never gotten either staff or other board members through ads. We don't even bother to advertise anymore. When we advertised for casual relief cooks, you interview people and it's just a waste of time 9 times out of 10. And it's current staff that have brought in other casual relief staff. And I can't think of one exception where it hasn't been one-on-one contact, as many other people, tonight have mentioned.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably up to date. That's probably the most useful method to bring people on board. I mean, we've heard it from a few others this evening as well, that bringing in contacts from service other service entities, or the Rotary clubs of the world, that kind of thing. I'm sure that's still the prevalent method. I think what we probably want to look at is how do we, if we're looking for specific skills on a board, like the idea of the associate membership, where you want to get an accountant or someone in HR or whatever, then it might not be someone that maybe there's a different way to attract those people, maybe within their own associations. Who knows? Okay, Larry, you got your hand up?
Yeah, please. The idea of service clubs just sort of brushed by here. That is a fantastic source. The people who are in these service clubs, whether it's Freemasons or Rotary or Lions, every little town, everywhere has them. Please, these people are community conscious people. The word service is in their name. And what I do is I invite them to have meetings, or at least one of their meetings, at our house. And I have a really great cook, and we do some excellent zucchini and banana bread or cookies. And I've recruited some top quality, very devoted, very dedicated people who I'm sure will be with us for life. Please approach them. And even, what do they call it? The Chamber of Commerce. Every town has them.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Right?
It works. It's not off the, I've had success with it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's excellent. All right. Anybody else?
Sorry, Tim, if I
Okay.
might. I just
Yeah, sure,
in the
Rhonda.
chat, I just sent a document that Abbeyfield, Ottawa designed back in 2020 with lots of discussions of job descriptions, both volunteers and paid. So please feel free to download that. I always like to thank you, Jim, for the work that your group did on that. It's quite an amazing document. The other things is with the service clubs, especially the Rotary Club and other groups, is they do lots of people like to have presentations, and just generally like the Rotary Club for sure. And if there's a business network in your community, or certainly the Chamber of Commerce, if you join there, they have a live at 5 event where one of the members will speak. It's a really good way, one, just to tell the Abbeyfield story, but really a chance to meet folks in a different circle, and maybe growing new folks interested in volunteering, or eventually become as a board member. And certainly all of those little seniors fairs booths, one thing, you're always trying to fill vacancies, but making those opportunities to talk to people about, again, the story and how people can get involved.
You twig a question with me, Rhonda, about that. We don't always have to get people that are going to be permanent board members.
Yeah.
We talked about younger people maybe coming and going. Has anyone had experience going to like a local community college or university and fleshing out if they have
Sure.
volunteer groups in there, and you could ask it, like if you have a special project like publishing a job description or something, like making it look really nice, or presentation. So Larry, you've done that?
Oh yeah, like I kind of lean on the gerontology department a lot, but I haven't even thought of going to. I'm just starting to contact the culinary schools around here, and sure, I think they welcome these opportunities. I think those are great ideas. Proactivity. This is what you're talking about, and you get one idea, try it out. Really, the worst anyone could do to you is say no. I mean, really.
Hello, it's Hunter here. I'm at. Is it a good time to speak?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to. I've been listening, and I wanted to put a note in there on this topic about perhaps what the experience is for someone who joins the board, and what that might how that might reflect on the wanting of others to join. For example, I was more than willing to join, and I was very flattered, and I felt honored to be asked to join the board. When I got into the position and realized that the amount of work it was going to take, I really had no idea, and I'm not troubled by it, but the role had far more breadth than I had anticipated, and it was just something that should probably be noted. All Abbeyfield houses have their own different situations. Ours in particular, as a treasurer, that is, and it's a volunteer position. The amount of work involved with dealing with the tenants and the finances and the bills and the upkeep of 2 heritage houses and assets. I was quite shocked, to be honest.
But he didn't run away.
Again,
The stories he didn't
no.
leave. He said, bring on more.
I love the challenge, and believe me, it's just never something I would ever turn my back on. But however, I am just the kind of person who just embraces that. But it's I think, to be fair, to keep for example, boards might have tenors for their board members, right? So they come on and they serve a certain time and then they leave. Now, when they leave, they're your best advocates for other board members. But if they leave with a bad taste in their mouth, or they feel like it was something they didn't uh, like, it wasn't right for any reason, that's something to consider. So the the expectations and what each house needs as relative to the members of the board is something to be considered for sure. And yes, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Hunter. Rhonda, did everyone get that great document, the Success Board Recruitment Guide?
No, because we thought we would, in case whatever we want to add anything that we learned today
Oh,
to
you kind
write
of
into
frozen, or
it.
have I frozen?
So, and I can let Joe talk, maybe let Joe talk about that for a minute. It's a board recruitment document we've been working on.
Sorry, I froze there for a sec.
No, that's okay. So I think it'd be good to say that it's something that we do want to send out once we're comfortable with it. So I don't know.
Describing what Hunter
Joe looks lost.
just mentioned about,
Oh,
really
there's Linda.
indicating what would be involved as a board member.
So I don't know, Joe, did you want to speak about the document that we're working on? No, I guess not.
Sorry, I'm gonna get on my phone here. My internet, my Wi-Fi must be going down.
Takes me a while to get off mute here. Sorry.
Oh, right. I forgot you were running 2 meetings there.
But yeah, it's a document that kind of lays out a lot of the points that have been made tonight. It starts to identify sort of what the need to be in the community as an organization, the need to, use the connections you have, but it comes down to certainly the responsibility of each of the directors to really make it part of their job to keep looking for people. And we are trying to lay out, it's important to know what you're looking for, what skills you want on your board. And they don't vary that much for board to board, but sometimes there are specific needs that you have to address. And when you get that point, there's a variety of opportunities, and I've heard a number of them mentioned tonight. So the paper just kind of summarizes some of that, and will be enriched by what we hear by tonight here. So I think that's probably all I need to say at this point.
So Tim, are you?
Yeah, sorry. My
That's okay.
Wi-Fi's gone down here. I'm just getting on my phone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay. And then just again, just timing, it's at we're 1 hour into this meeting right now, just so that you know. Sorry, we're all having technical challenges. Just as
was-
Tim's trying to sort himself out there. There's another in the chat. Ron Stevenson just sent a message to everyone. I would say.
Hi, Linda. Linda just
Okay.
joined us.
So about documents. So yes, Stephen, we will send that off to each house once we're ready to do that. It'll probably be mid-March before we send out that document. And the ones that I put in the chat and the ones that Robert sent up, you can certainly download now, and you'll have those documents now.
How do you download them? I don't see them anywhere.
You just, if they're in the chat, if you click on them, you shall see the.
Oh.
Do you see it?
Okay. Yes, got it.
Yep.
Thank.
Sorry,
Okay. Hi,
I was
Tim. Linda's
frozen.
here now, and she had her hand up.
I just
Perfect.
want to apologize for since our committee sets this up. We lost power just really minutes before this started, and it's just nicely come back on. So my apologies for my absence.
Anyway, it's great to see you, Linda. It's always good to have your input. Larry.
You know, I wanna go back to what Bill Statton said, because he really said it all, plus a few other things from other people, other sources to recruit directors. But what we have here is enthusiastic people, all of us. And when you approach somebody, you don't even have to approach them directly, but with your enthusiasm, say, we are looking for new directors. Do you know anybody who might be interested? And this is a sales tactic that's been used for generations. And they may say, well, I might be interested myself. And if not, you've kept the door open for them to be another possible recruiter. Share your enthusiasm and try and get them to visit your houses. This is critical. I find that works 9 out of 10 times, or even better. But ask your friends, ask your people who are involved in these service organizations. These are community conscious people. Those are the people you want to speak to.
Just to add on to that, Larry, it's interesting because I think of over the years and the people I've talked to about Abbeyfield, often you'll find that when your people say, well, what are you doing with your life and what's going on? What are your daily activities? Well, what it comes down to, Larry, you seem very actively involved, so you're going to tell them all that you're doing at Abbeyfield.
Exactly.
Some interesting stories there, and stories about seniors and medical situations and difficulties and good things and all the good things that you've done. Because let's face it, every one of us is here because we believe that we are helping some seniors in the end, and we do. And so when you're discussing it with your friends, it becomes a really easy topic because it's more interesting than talking about bridge games all the time. You can say, hey, we're doing something, and it's an activity, and you can do it largely on your own time. What you do, you can kind of make your own place. Anyway, for me, it comes up naturally in conversation because, people say, well, I'm going on a trip or I'm going here. So they like to talk about what their activity is. We can talk about an activity that we are doing, which we are happy to tell them about without selling it. It's just talking about what we're doing. And then gradually, people realize that, this is the sound concept, because wherever you tell the story, whenever it comes back, everybody believes that is a good concept. It's a good concept. Small number of people living in a home, living independently. The whole story is simple, easy, but it's effective. And you just have to tell that, one-on-one or small party or whatever. There's so many places where we can tell the story. But as I say, for me, it just happened to be largely it's friends and work colleagues, people that I have known in this story have had the most success. And I think that's what Sylvia was implying too. And Linda, or no, not so much Linda. Who else was saying that it was really Larry, you were saying that the personals contacts.
Oh, sure. And you know, even if you're doing selling something or having tickets for whatever quilt, or if you have a table somewhere or even in a shopping center and are selling tickets, the idea is to really promote Abbeyfield and get some saying this is what we do and this is who we are. Not even so much as a fundraiser, but to get the message out, Bill. Well, I think you understand this inherently. What did you do for a living, Bill?
What did I do?
What did you do for a living? Yeah,
I was an accountant.
Wow, interesting to come from accounting. Good, but you're still selling your services anyway, because you speak like a real.
Still talking about it, yeah.
Well, there you go. There you go.
The fun part of accounting is explaining it to other people.
Bingo. Touche. Good.
Hi, Janet. I see you got your hand up. Sorry.
Thanks. You're all, I think we're the only provisional house online tonight. I think other meetings, there might have been other, but can you recall back to when you were starting out? And what advice would you have for a startup like us around recruiting? Because the needs of an established board and the different services you're offering and everything, you need different competencies on your board than maybe the startup does. And I just was wondering for any words of advice or suggestions for an emerging Abbeyfield like us.
Well, here's what I would say. I'm going to let Jim Galloway answer that, because the Callan House, where he started out, I was a director on the national board, and a person at the church that Jim was with, his name was Jim McDonald, he made an inquiry and wanted somebody to come out and talk to the church group about Abbeyfield. And Jim was in that meeting, and I was the person who spoke. I think there was 25 people there, Jim?
Perhaps.
And after I spoke, I thought, I'm not a salesman. I don't think they're really that interested, or they're going to take it up on it. What did I know? About a month later, Jim McDonald phoned and said they were want to start an Abbeyfield house, and would I come on as a director? I was in Toronto. That was in Callans, about 50 kilometers away. And I said, gee, I'd be really happy to do that, because I happened to grow up about on a farm that was about 2 miles from where Callan was. So I was delighted to be part of it. So it all kind of fit together. But Jim, your first board was drawn from the church group, wasn't it? A lot of it?
Yes, it was. There were people who were concerned about housing and housing for seniors, and I guess people without housing in that general area. I think some of the connections we made, we got somebody from the council who said he couldn't be on our board, but he would sit in our board meetings and was incredibly supportive. He would report back to the council about our progress, what we were doing, what problems we were having, and it was through his efforts, I think, that the council decided to find us land. They just said, stop looking for land, we'll give you some land.
But your initial board was largely from the church group.
Yeah, it was Calvinist United.
Yeah.
Super.
I was with a group that was trying to build a new Abbeyfield in a community near me, and I thought, oh well, this would be good. I wouldn't mind being involved with that. Coming coming home. I've been away for a long time in my community. And so our founder, Dick Stanton, I was talking to him and I said, maybe I could do that. And he said, well, if you want to help build a new house, then you better volunteer at my house and find out how we operate. and I'm still there, however many years ago that is. So so I would say, no, I guess that's to Janet and to Karen is, well, Janet in particular, if you have some people in your group, a couple of them want to volunteer at Abbeyfield, Ottawa, who I know that they've got some gaps right now that you could actually see it in operation. And it'll help spread your imaginations.
That's a good idea, Rhonda. Yeah. And we can all serve on other boards, can't we?
Yeah, that's it.
If we don't choose to.
And now with
And
the world
anybody-
of Zoom, you don't have to, if you want to help out in a different house, it may not be near of you, but most of these group boards now meet by Zoom or can be. Yeah, maybe volunteer for another house.
Rhonda, I was just thinking, or I would throw this invitation out if anybody would like to attend one of our board meetings. They're all by Zoom, and we hold them every second Thursday at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. They usually run about an hour, at the longest an hour and a half if we're having some sort of issue. And if anyone would like to attend, just send me an email, several days in advance, and I can send you the link from our secretary, and you can sit in on our meeting if you wish.
Could I just ask, we have one of our board members here, at least one I can see on the screen, Ruth Howland. And I don't know, Ruth, if you would be comfortable to speak to this, but I know you were on the original board at St. Andrews way back in the day. She did go off that board and then come back on. But do you think that you could just speak to the combination of skills and where you drew your people from for that initial board?
So it was completely our local St. Andrews Anglican Church that were on the board. And at that point, the congregation were in their 40s and 50s. There's still a lot of the same congregation there, and they're in their 80s and 90s now. So that amount of people to try and go back and find out. The original board definitely had an accountant on it, had several teachers, had just people that were willing to furnish things in the house and that type of thing, that weren't really involved in the day-to-day running of the house. And it all seemed to come together and worked. We were just lucky. We also had the idea came from a couple that were from England and very familiar with Abbeyfields in England. So they very much pushed it. And the idea was to have a place for people in our church community to go to as they got older. Over the years, there's been very few, and it always seems that when we need a place for somebody from the church, it's there is no vacancy. So but that's fine.
Ruth, you did a lot of fundraising. That original board, I believe, did a lot of fundraising, did they not?
But it was within the church. We didn't go outside the church at that point fundraising. And we got a grant from the provincial government a fairly decent sized grant, and went with BC Housing because they would sponsor us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Here's a story from our original founder of Abbeyfield, Canada, Robert McMullen, whom I worked with very closely. And I was asked to be treasurer right when there was nothing really other than St. Andrews was just forming. And so after a while, he was also on the board in Toronto, and we were wondering about recruiting people. And, you know, it's always a topic. You always should be recruiting, that's for sure. And you get down a little, you know, you work a little harder at recruiting. But nonetheless, Bob, it was really funny. He said in recruiting, said, how to do it? There's a fair amount of time involved to do this. And he said, well, he would say with a very straight face, he said, well, you lie to them. It's a couple of hours a month. He said, just lie to them. And then he would have this mischievous laugh. So there's a certain amount of truth to that. I guess you start off and it's, you know, you don't want to make it too onerous. And the people who get involved, they will make the time that they want for it. And if it becomes too much for them, they'll leave, or else they'll have to say it's too much and they want to back down. But get them on in the first place was sort of his philosophy. And not all will make it, but there will some that will be fantastic for a long period of time. So anyway, that's our good old founder. He had a real sense of humor.
Many a truth is spoken in jest, Bill Stanton.
Thanks, Bill.
Can
Robert, I know
for
you
a minute?
Yeah, I just wanted to
I
put
think
somewhat unpopular view. I feel that there's been a fair bit of Pollyannaism here this evening, and I'm going to promote the idea that in a decade, this situation will be worse, particularly in many of the smaller communities. And it's my firm belief that many houses have to start raising, finding in their budget money for some part-time administrative staff. When you really go through so many of the annoying little details that boards have to do on a volunteer basis, if you could delegate these things to staff, it really could be, as Bill says, 2 hours a month. And I also think that this will give a degree of professionalism when it comes to dealing with many of the health authorities. The second issue that we're having, particularly in British Columbia, is finding higher level care. And that is a huge challenge for a volunteer board, it seems to me. And if we've got a professional person in the office that can be feeding the bullets to the families to give to the health bureaucrats that find these high level care beds, it's going to help, quite apart from so many of the other tasks that the secretary or the treasurer does not have to do. And somehow or other, I'm convinced that that is going to be the future for some of you houses, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, thanks,
Can
Robert.
I speak to that, Tim?
Sure, Melinda. Yep.
It's Melinda. Thanks, Robert. That I can definitely speak to that, as you know, because not only am I on the board, but I'm the house manager at our Duncan House. So I'm doing exactly what you're talking about there. And I agree with you, because I think somebody in my position can offer that continuity through time over the years. You know, when the boards are coming and going, there's somebody there ideally that's going to stay a long time and will be that sort of that steady that can train up the new board members or help them out, and also take some of the weight off of board members. As you said, some of those positions can be very time consuming, and I almost can't even imagine being on a board and doing all the stuff that I do as a paid employee. Like that would just be too much, because it's not, there's just so many little things, you know, like you said, the intaking of new residents, hiring staff, payroll, paying the bills, all those little things that go on in the household. So I definitely agree with that, that a paid administrator will be the right way going forward if you can afford it.
Great. Thanks, Melinda. We're getting close to the end here, but I see, Rita, you had your hand up.
Excuse me. Um, I have to agree with what Robert was saying. We have 6 board members. Our treasurer, who is trying very hard to find somebody to job shadow with him and take over. He's 78. It's time for him to do other things. My husband joined Abbeyfield as a volunteer through his work, actually, with United Waste. They needed their basement finished, and he helped with that. And he slowly but surely got suckered into doing other little jobs and ended up being the maintenance man, if you will. We've both been retired for the last 10 years, and it's a busy place. There is something almost every day, and he's now to the point where do we have time to go somewhere? Do we have time to do this? Do we have time to do that? Because we don't have anybody following in his footsteps, so to speak. We are looking for board members. Angela had to leave, but she had a really good suggestion earlier. Focus on what we really need on the board and find those people that can maybe fill those spots. But we too are a very small community, and volunteer fatigue is a big thing here. And the younger generation just doesn't seem to be that interested in helping out somewhere. They're all busy. Most families are 2 people working and kids, and they don't have time to do volunteer work or be on a board for that matter. So you always end up with an older group. Our last Zoom meeting, we had the top row was 4 people, and they were all over 72, and they're like, oh, this has got to change. But where, and I know everybody is in the same position. We're very lucky. We have an awesome house manager. She does a lot of work for us and does help out accountant every now and then. But that too, she's limited to how many hours she can work. We have a full house right now, which we're very thankful for, but we don't have extra money floating around to hire some or even think of hiring somebody. We're struggling to make ends meet. So our house really depends on volunteers. I came on board because I didn't mind volunteering as doing some fundraising and have done quite well, I will say, with our ticket sales and stuff. But that too, it's a full-time job almost. And I'm to the point now where I need to slow down a little bit. So like I say, every story is the same, no matter what the 20-some people that were here tonight. It's a struggle. But I did figure out a few things where we can maybe find a few people. But our board consists basically of a friend bringing a friend, a friend bringing a friend, and we have been able to manage to keep 7 board members. We just had one resign, and 6 is not bad, but 11 would be much better.
You think?
Well, yeah, I wish you luck, Rita. It's well, the fact is you've got a full house, and that's great now, and so you've got really positive things there, and now it's just trying to get 1 more person and then 2 more, and so hopefully it comes very soon, and wish you luck on it.
Thank you. Well, good luck to everybody. See, we're all fighting the same battle.
That's right. All right, we're just about to wrap up here. So I think, many of the methods or tactics to get new people are, and Rita, you just said it. A lot of them have friends or colleagues that you've known for years, and you kind of ask them to join. other potential places where government, if I'm caring about the associate director, bringing people in and kind of sneaking them in and giving them specific duty. Hopefully that translates to more active responsibilities going forward. So some really good ideas, good dialogue. I think Robert, Rita, I think that's a real risk as we the risk of less volunteers. I mean, Larry was talking earlier about being the first of the baby boomers, and I'm the last. I'm a 64. But you do kind of worry, maybe I'm showing my age now too, but you kind of worry when those of us kind of get out of this sort of work, what will happen? Is the same motivation there for younger people? I don't know. Hopefully it is. Any other comments before we wrap up?
It's just, Tim, I just thought of something at our house. And that is this recent bunch of volunteers that came in through another more recent board member. And we've got 8 on the board, and everybody's pretty well contributing. I mean, it's really good. Well, a couple, not as much, but the last bunch, just as I talked about, everybody was older. This last bunch are all in their, I'm going to say late 40s, early 50s, interestingly enough. They all have a job. So they're compromised during the day, but they're going to the house in the evening and doing things there. And they're a very enthusiastic bunch. So instead of, I said we had all older people in 60s and 70s. Well, they're not working full time. The job, these people are working full time, and they seem very committed. So hopefully, Rita, you might get somebody like that in Fort St. John.
We're looking.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
Wherever I go, I say, hey, how about,
Yeah.
and that's at some point you're going to connect with somebody.
Rita, try and just change it a little bit and ask them with the same enthusiasm, can you help me recruit somebody else? Do you have anyone else interested? And they may say, well, what's wrong with me? Which is fine. It's just try get to those service organizations. Listen, Rita, you and I know you've dodged some major bullets before. I have a great deal of confidence in Fort St. John.
Thank you.
Thanks. Linda,
I gotta go, people. Thank you.
Good night, Rita.
Good night.
You betcha. Take care and good luck, everybody.
The one thing I would like to say, and it's the only thing here, is that don't be afraid to ask. It's just amazing when you ask who actually will come on board. It's like fundraising. You'll never get any money if you don't ask.
That's right.
I just found that a couple of people we brought on recently, I just sat there with one of them and said, hey, I did this little show and tell act that I do, and said, now we need board members. Why don't you come on? And she said, I'd like to do that. Thanks for asking. But you know, if you don't ask,
well, you don't ask, you don't get yes.
That's my last word here.
Thank you, Linda.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. We'll wrap up.
Tim. Thanks, Rhonda.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for organizing. Thank you.
Someone's asked for if they could send the recording around. Maybe.
I think she's going to do that.
Yeah, that'd be great because we sent it to everyone that was on the.
Yeah, Tim, I'll probably send it out next week, and I'll send it to all the houses.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Rhonda. Okay, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Nice to see everyone.